Welcome back to Legit Whiskey Reviews, and on today's episode we'll be reviewing Baker's 7-year single barrel. So today we're reviewing Baker's 7-year single barrel. This one comes out of Jim Beam Distillery. It's part of their small batch collection. They also make Basil Hayden's, they make Knob Creek, and they make Booker's, and of course the one we're reviewing today, the Baker's single barrel. So this one recently changed from the small batch, which I have here, which we're going to compare later, to the single barrel. This one is 77% corn, 13% rye, and 10% malted barley. This one is 8 years old and 3 months. 8 years and 3 months. It's 100. These are both 107 proof. That's 53.5% ABV. And let's get into the nose and see what we get out of this one. So this one's been out for a little bit. I let it air out a little bit, and the first thing that hits me is you get a toasted brown sugar, like from that toasted char from the barrel. You get toasted brown sugar, and then immediately you get hit by the oak up front. And then you get your classic bourbon notes. You get caramels, vanillas. There's a faint cherry in there. And I'm used to a lot of light and dark fruits on the forward part of the nose and the palate on this small batch, but we'll get into that one in a little bit. And then throughout the nose of this one, you get a strong cinnamon. You get like when you go to the store, to any store and on Christmas, and you smell that, like the bags of cinnamon sticks. There's a strong like Christmas cinnamon stick nose in here. And then towards the back of the nose as well, you get the oak. It smells pretty good. Let's get into the palate. So the first thing that I'm getting out of this one in the palate is the oak is pretty forward on this one. It's probably the 8 years and 3 months in this bottle. But let me taste it again. So the typical sweetness, and it's not coming forward on this one like it does on the small batch. You do get your classic bourbon notes. You get your caramels and vanillas. There's a little bit of cherry in there, but not like this one. You get probably a medium finish. I'm still feeling it a little bit. I say a medium to long finish. And then you get a little bit of spice and oak towards the back end of the palate as well. Let's taste it again. So yeah, as far as the single barrel, this one, for this bottle, it doesn't have the sweetness up front that the small batch usually has. The single barrel is what it is. It's a single barrel. It's a product of a single barrel. And a small batch, they can use anywhere from 5, 10 barrels to 50 to 100 barrels. I don't think there's any law that dictates how many barrels they can use to be called a small batch. The reason they use a certain amount of barrels is to get a certain flavor profile out of the whiskey. Let's taste it again. So yeah, I'm getting more of the same. The oak is up front. You get a little bit of fruits in the front, and you get spice towards the middle, towards the back. Maybe a little bit of cherry and cinnamon, and then you get the oak in the back as well. Let's get into this small batch. This one's going away. This one, I can still find it in my area. In my area, this one goes for $35 to $39, which is a steal, because in a lot of places this one usually goes for 50 bucks, maybe 55, maybe in some areas. So and this one here, I can get it for about $50, $53, but in a lot of areas, from what I've read and what I've heard, it goes for $60 and over. So let's get into this one. So this small batch here, it's a 7-year as well. There can be smaller, or I'm sorry, there can be older barrels in this whiskey too. But in order for it to be have that 7-year label on the bottle, the youngest whiskey in the bottle has to be 7 years old. It can't be any younger than 7 years old. Let's get into the nose on this small batch. So right away I get a strong smell of brown sugar and like light and dark fruits. Like I get cherries, I get apples and vanillas. You get a little bit of oak towards the back. And then that Jim Beam, if you drink Jim Beam, you know that Jim Beam peanut funk is gonna be in the whiskey, which I personally like. In this one, it didn't come through as much, but in this one, that peanut definitely comes through. It'll come through in the Booker's for sure, and then in the Knob Creek, it'll come through for sure too. So yeah, I'm getting a ton of sweetness in the front. Cherries, light fruits, like I said, dark fruits. The brown sugar and the cherry is really what's sticking out here. Let's go into the palate on this one. So yeah, this one's super sweet in the front. I get the brown sugar, the vanilla, and the cherry hits you right away in the front. Super sweet in the front of the palate. And then in the middle, you're still gonna taste a little bit of sweetness with a little bit of pepper, a little bit of spice, and then towards the back you feel a little bit of spice. And this one's about a medium finish. You get the oak in the back end, but it's really good. Let's go again. So yeah, this one is really good. It's staying consistent. You get that really good balance that I like. You get the sweetness, which I love in my bourbons. You get the sweetness in the front, cherries. You get the caramel, the brown sugars. That brown sugar really comes through. And then in the back, you get the spice and the oak. So, in my personal opinion, I would totally go for this one. I'm gonna give this one an 87. This one is a solid whiskey. I would, if this one wasn't available, then yeah, I would buy this one. But there's nothing wrong with this whiskey. It's just that this one is available, and this one is just so much better and so much well balanced. It's just better balanced. You get so much out of this one for $20 less. Once this one goes away, before I go to this one, I'm gonna go to the Knob Creek single barrel, not the small batch here, but I'm gonna go for the Knob Creek 120 proof single barrel. That one, you just get a ton of cherries, a ton of brown sugars, and you get just amazing flavors out of that one for $20 less than this one. So I'm gonna give this one, like I said, an 87. It's solid. There's nothing wrong with this whiskey. It's just that, in my opinion, it's just overpriced. I would go for this one every single time. So if you like my content and you like my reviews, just remember to hit the like button. Remember to subscribe. I want to give a special shout out to Cruz, and I want to give a special shout out to Whiskey Quest. Go check out his channel. Give him a like and subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. He's supported the brand new channel, so I appreciate that. And remember to keep it legit and do it for the love of whiskey.